What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. I'm going to break down what's happening with the CPI report that just came out, and why the market's trying to push to the upside so far. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. This offer ends on March 31st. It's been extended for about 2.5 months longer from now. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So looking at Tesla, we're up about 3.6%. SPY is up about 1.5% right now in the pre-market. The market's pushing to the upside after CPI just came out. And look at the numbers, they're not looking too bad. So core CPI month over month is at 0.2%. That is aligned with expectations and a bit of a decrease compared to what we saw beforehand. And then that's on a month over month basis. For CPI for all items, month over month is at 0.4%. That's technically aligned with expectations. A slight increase, but still aligned with what we wanted to see. Core CPI year over year was at 3.2% for the month of December. So that's not bad. This is technically below expectations and a slight decrease compared to before. So that's pretty good. And then last but not least, we have all items CPI year over year at 2.9%. That's aligned with expectations. A slight increase, but like I said before, not bad whatsoever. So pretty decent CPI overall. Everything was aligned with expectations, with some of them being below expectations. That's exactly what the market would like to see. I said as long as nothing's above expectations, we're going to be fine. As a result, the market's getting a very positive reaction. Now, right before the market opens, we have Kashkari giving a speech and Barkin, so we'll see what this ends up leading to. Besides that, there's nothing else that's too crazy coming out, except for the Fed Beige Book at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that typically does not affect the market too much. The main effect is going to be because of CPI. Now, looking at the chart, this is what the CPI chart looks like. So we saw the first decrease in the last 3-4 months in core CPI. This is all items without food and energy. Slight little decrease right here, which is not bad. However, for all items CPI, I do want to note that we're still technically seeing it going higher and higher. It's been on this trend for the last couple of months. This time around, the market was expecting that. It's only by about 0.2%. So let's just hope for the best. This is what the market had been anticipating, and this trend is still continuing. So we'll see what kind of effect we get from that. And then on top of this, we just got the big bank earnings, and the majority of them are good, which tends to be more positive for the markets as well. Why do I say that? That's because JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Goldman Sachs all posted beats, and Citi is swinging to a profit essentially for the first time. So not bad whatsoever. I think this is going to be some very, very good news. If anything, we're looking at Goldman Sachs returning $3 billion to shareholders in Q4. You guys can see that right here. There's been a lot of growth overall, and they ended up beating on earnings. On top of this, we ended up seeing others out there, such as Citi. They project a full year return to climbs. That's going to be another nice amount of growth, and they ended up beating on the majority of earnings. Goldman Sachs also did relatively well. Their EPS was a big beat, not as big as last year's beat, but still not bad, excuse me, whatsoever. So good job by Goldman Sachs and the others. Then we had BlackRock announce their earnings. They kicked off the day booking a $284 billion inflow on a record Q4. Very, very good news for them. And on top of this, they have assets under management at about $11.6 trillion. That is one of the highest we've seen in a good while. I think that's the second consecutive record for the total of that metric. And then on top of this, we ended up seeing them do relatively well, beating on their EPS. That was above the consensus estimations. They got $11.93 with revenue at $5.68 billion above expectations. Not bad whatsoever. There is some news coming out involving Tesla. Reports suggest that Tesla has its refreshed Model Y, and they claim that they're already building it at the Gigafactory in Berlin, Germany. According to different outlooks, that's some good news. It's already been launched in like China and Australia, and they're going to be doing deliveries soon. And it looks like it's going to be launching in Europe very soon as well. So it's a very, very good piece of news for Tesla. Besides that, that's all I'm seeing on the news. There's nothing else that's too crazy, at least for now. Meta has been planning to cut 5% of its workforce, but that's pretty much it. On top of everything else I already named. So let's now just focus on the charts from this point on. As far as Tesla goes, we have this resistance at 410. If we break that, we're going to be looking for an attempt to get closer to about that 414 area. If that breaks, we go up to about 420. If we reject here, we're looking for support around 406. If that fails us, we're looking for a move back down towards the 400 support. Well, that's also very close to where this trend line of support happens to be right over here. So I want Tesla to hold around 406 at the very least, if not 400 in that range. I would love to see Tesla hold those levels. If we end up losing 400, we could be turning back down because technically Tesla is gapping up, and we could be revisiting the low around that like 396 area if we end up losing 400. As long as we hold 406, we should continue to try to climb higher. But I do want to give you a warning to be careful because we are gapping up. So we'll see how we end up opening. This does look a little bit more bullish. So I do think we're going to push a little bit more upon open into like the 414 area. Then we'll see if Tesla gets a rejection. Again, the last time we hit this resistance, we did slow down. So it's going to be a very, very tough resistance. So watch for a move like this. It's very simple. Look for Tesla to push upon open to about 414. And watch and see if we go a little higher and maybe we get some kind of rejection, move back down or not if we keep going. As long as we're above 414, we're looking for 420 again. If not, we could be dipping a little bit lower. So we'll see if the move could last. For now, Tesla does favor upside and might try to push a little bit more upon open, but just watch resistance just to be safe. As far as SPY goes, one concern I do have is the fact that there's going to be a giant gap that forms when we open. However, when you have opens like this, there tends to be a lot of momentum. As long as we're above 590, we do favor more upside. And we could be trying to go up to about 590, just under 594. So I think this might attempt to push a little bit higher. And we'll see if we get a rejection or not. If we end up losing 590, so if we push a bit upon open and we get a rejection, we could be retesting 588, and if that fails us, we still have this big imbalance and this gap to fill down here, which would bring us down to about 584. And then we'll have to see if we bounce off that again. So I'm just telling you that there's this big gap now that's forming on SPY. I think that this may try to push upon open a couple of points, but then if we do end up turning back down, we have to see if we could hold 590. If we can't, we could dip a little bit before it tries to continue to push. As long as we end up holding 590, even if we dip below it and we get bought back up, this could continue to climb even higher. So 590 is very important. We need to hold that. If we do get some kind of retest of it, I would love to see SPY continue to hold to continue this push towards 600. I'll be watching that very closely. Look for a push upon open. If it slows down, as long as we can try to hold very close to 588 to 590, we're going to be fine. If we start losing 588, I'm going to be a little concerned about this gap that's forming. So just keep that in mind essentially. And if we get that balance, we will continue to push once again closer to those new highs. On ES, we're pumping very nicely. This looks like it wants to be going up to about 6,000. Very awesome move. I think that this favors upside, and we're looking for a push even higher for that 6,000 targets. That's why SPY might continue to push back up towards like 594 or even above. But I was just warning you guys to be careful just in case 588 does end up getting lost. There's still a big gap below, so just be a little careful because of that. But nonetheless, we still look more bullish. This looks like it wants to try to push back up just like ES trying to go up to 6,000. NVIDIA is trying to bounce, but it's not that strong relative to its previous standards. Might be testing 135 to 137, so look for more potential upside. Bitcoin looks a bit more bullish. It could be on its way up to 100,000 right now, so I think it's looking quite strong. NQ looks bullish. Could be looking for 21,400 as our target, so I see potential in this to try to reach that. If not, it's 21,600 or above, so it looks bullish. The QQQ is looking more bullish as long as we do not lose the 510 area we favored. That we want to try to go a little higher for like 517. So let's see if we could hold above 513 to push for 517. If we reject here, we would come back down to like 511. I think we're favoring upside a little bit more. For Apple, we look a bit more bullish. We want to see if we could break 237. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt to push for 240. There is potential in this nonetheless, especially as we have a slanted inverse head and shoulders. So look for a test of 237 or above if that breaks. The IW Russell 2000 is looking at 226 as resistance. If this breaks as well, we're looking for a bigger push to about 228. So just keep that in mind. That could also help us push even higher. If we break 226, we're looking for 228. If we can't do that, we're looking for a retest of 224 and 221. Overall, it does, it does favor upside a little bit more. Coin is looking a bit more bullish. You want to see it break past 269 to really continue this pump. So far, so good with the inverse head and shoulders. We're looking for an attempt to get back up to 269. If we could break that, we're looking for the 270, so watch resistance. As long as Amazon could hold 221, we favor upside for 224. If 221 fails us, we're looking for 220 again. Still favors the upside. Let's see if 605 breaks on Meta. If that's the case, we're looking for essentially 612. Microsoft looks a bit more bullish as we have this imbalance to flow around 424. So I think this favors upside quite greatly. And Google's on a bit of an uptrend right here. I'm sorry, it's on a bit of a downtrend, starting to break structure. As long as we could try to hold above this 194 area, I think we could be looking for an attempt to get up to 196. So the market's looking bullish, but I do want to give you guys that warning about the fact that the market's gapping up. So be a little bit careful because of that. But if we just, if you ignore that, the charts are looking a bit more bullish, especially as the VIX kind of has a head and shoulders now and might be dipping lower, and we have this gap to fill. So that suggests the market may continue to climb. As far as Tesla goes, I think that this is going to be testing 410, maybe push upon open for 414. If that breaks, we'll continue to about the 420 range. I do want to warn you to be careful because of this gap below, but besides that, I think we're still doing a good job and we have some more upside potential. Let's see if Tesla holds above its key supports so we continue this pump. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll be back in a couple of hours for another update. Thanks again, and peace out.